Is this on? Now it's on. Okay. Thank you very much, Ellie, for this warm introduction. Business lives in communication and connecting between people. Even in today's age, with all the digital and all these amazing things that I know a lot of people here are doing, it all starts with our ability to connect with other people. And part of that ability is, how do we sell ourselves? How do we make other people relate to us? One way is dressing with the same kind of clothes as your host, coordinating our colors. That was just by chance, so that doesn't always happen. But we always like when we are able to feel that connection, something that we're from the same world, same area. We're looking for those opportunities. So today we're going to be taking away a look at how to sell ourselves, how to connect with other people, because that's where the opportunities are when we come, especially for these kind of events like networking events. So first thing is, it starts with our attitude. And just to kind of get ourselves into the right attitude, I'd ask everybody please to stand. So please stand. No, just sit down. Now, take a seat, it's okay. I don't know what a big, large deal in your world would be. In Dale Carnegie, when we sign a big contract with a company to work with them, it can be around $100,000. Most of the deals that we do are probably around $10,000 to $15,000. But say I was coming to you to sign a large deal, and I'm waiting, on the reception, I'm sitting down, and then you come up to me, and I get up like this. You really want to sign that deal with me right now, yeah? Here's the check, Gilad. So when we're talking about attitude, it's about we need to bring ourselves and show our presence every single time people are watching. So in a moment, or even in this session today, we're going to do a few things together. So you could at least pretend like at least you want to do them. Is that okay? Yeah? So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to stand. And can you do that with some enthusiasm when we stand? Yeah? Can we have that? Yeah? Okay, everybody, please stand. All right, that's much better. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to take a couple of minutes just to look at what are the challenges we find today when we have to sell ourselves. It could be in a meeting, in maybe a job interview, or with a client. What are those challenges that we face? So that means you find, these are going to be groups of 4. So that means you have to find 3 other people to have a quick 2-minute conversation. See what challenges you face when we're having to sell ourselves in meetings to managers, any place in our world. Okay? Yeah? So 2 minutes. Everybody find 3 other people. Go. יש קליקר? מה זה?
יש לך כפתור מיוט מלמעלה.
לא, כאן, יש קליקר? קליקר.
קליקר?
Okay, let's stay standing. Just turn this way, please. You can stay standing, just so we can... Our brain thinks better when we're standing. So what are some of the, you know what, we're such a group, we can take a seat, that's okay. What are some of the challenges you face? Just raise your hand and, yeah, Michael.
Self-confidence.
Sorry?
Self-confidence.
Self-confidence, okay. How does that manifest?
If you're not confident in yourself, you're not going to sell your product or sell yourself.
Okay, yeah, so it affects us a lot when we're not sure of ourselves, we can't come across. Okay, thank you, self-confidence. What else? Yeah, just say your name. Yeah, no, with the sunglasses.
So we were talking about...
What's your name, please?
My name is Aaron.
Aaron, yeah.
We were talking about how a lot of meetings are
Okay, so a challenge of having a better look and feel of ours, of how we come across, especially when we're remote. Okay, great. Thanks, Aaron. What else? What other challenge? Yeah. What's your name, please? David, yeah.
Talking about how to know when to promote yourself, and when it's like, okay, it's getting a little, let's be modest a little bit here. It's
Okay.
getting a little too much, like bragging.
Okay, so how much do I am I showing off? Am I bragging? Or I need to sell myself, but am I taking it too much maybe? That's what you're saying? Yeah, okay, so we don't know what effect it's going to have. Okay, thank you, yeah. What's your name, please?
My name?
Yeah.
Gabriel.
Gabriel, yeah.
Clearly stating your message. Clearly stating your message. Yeah.
Okay.
Can't have it all over the
Yeah, so how do we state our message in a clear way so other people can really understand us? Okay, thank you. Well, let's take one more maybe. Back there, anybody? Okay, over there, yeah. Just, what's your name? Aleph, that's right, we met earlier, yeah.
Lack of taking into account the other person's perspective. They may not share the enthusiasm that you have is very particular to your experiences. So not taking into account necessarily where the other
Where their
where their level of their entry level appreciation is coming from.
Okay, so it's about, I don't know if everybody heard that, is not always taking into account if we have a certain enthusiasm, other people's might not feel the same way as we do. So we want to make sure that we can make that talk on the same level. Does that work with you? Okay, so there's quite a lot of challenges when we're connecting with other people. And what we're going to explore, part of it has to do with also, as we saw, our attitude. See what changed. Okay. See what changed when we stood out the second time, with that energy that came through. First time, sometimes we need to show that energy when we're talking to other people, and they notice it. We say, don't judge a book by its, well, CityBook, but don't judge a book by its cover, right? But we judge people by the cover, the way they come in, the way they appear, the way they look, what they're doing. Sorry? Body language, yeah, definitely. Thank you. So we need to be aware of all these things because they judge that even before we've opened our mouth, and they get an opinion of us. But we're going to take a look at, say we're coming to an event, and just introduce myself. Is it going to work now? Possibly, or not? Well, it might work. Well, we'll start from a different place. Say I come to an event like this, and what's the first thing we do? Yeah, a lot of us we go to the food, definitely. What else? What are we doing? What? Surfing? Surveying, okay. What are we looking for? Okay, yeah, people we know. So I come to an event and I see Menachem there and I'm like, hey, how you doing? We haven't seen so long. And I stick to Menachem all evening because I've got my anchor and I'm never leaving this guy now. I'm safe.
Until the sushi comes.
I'm safe, yeah. But say I come to an event, have you been to one of those and no familiar faces, I don't know anybody? Anybody been to one of those events ever? Yeah? What do we do then? Yeah, we go to the food, yeah. And especially us guys, if it's in the morning event, we'll go for, we'll go get the coffee and, we grab the cup and we're just standing there. We're like, hey, how you doing? And, yeah, it's all good. And, sorry? And today we even have another aide to us and we're like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. And all the opportunities there are walking past us because we missed them out. In the evening, we'll go to the food, or if there's alcohol, we'll take on a beer, and I'm cool. How's it going? And that's what I do. And we're wasting all those opportunities without finding out how to connect to other people. So when we're connecting, how do we connect to other people? Ever found that place where you're standing next to somebody and you say, so what am I going to say to him? What can I ask? What can I say? And then it's going in our head. Been in that situation? Yeah? So I'd like to be in a place where wherever we go, we can create a connection here, wherever it is around the world. We'll be able to make a connection with other people, build relationships, sell ourselves, find those opportunities. Would like that? Yeah? Oh, can I have a bit more enthusiasm with that? Would like that? Yeah. Okay, that's much better. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Moshe. I knew I was the right audience here. Okay, so in order to do that, one of the problems is, as we said, we don't know what to say. So we're going to also work on a way of building those questions or things that we can break the ice. And the other thing is how to deepen our connection with other people and get to know who they are in a very quick way. Okay? But in order to do that, we're going to improve our memory at the same time. Yeah? So I'm going to ask everybody please to stand. And what we're going to learn now is what it's called a pegging technique for memorizing things. So we'll learn this, we'll call system, and once we do that, we'll see how that relates to networking and selling ourselves. Okay? So I'm just going to demonstrate quickly, then we're all going to do it together. So first thing, imagine a huge name tag, like the one you're wearing today, but it's huge, about the size of this hall. And out of that name tag, it's got your name on it. Out of that name tag, there's a 2-story house coming out with a red tiled roof. The front door opens, and a kid stands there wearing a school uniform. And he runs and jumps into a red car that speeds off, okay? So we're going to do this together. So you got to do it with the action and say the words, otherwise it doesn't work. Ready? So we got a huge name tag, everybody together. You got to say the words and do the, otherwise it doesn't work. You got a huge name tag, okay? Coming out of it is what is it? 2-story house with a red roof, okay? And front door opens, who's standing there? I gotta say this, what is he standing? What's he wearing? School uniform. He jumps into a red car, which speeds off. Okay, you got to do all the action, otherwise, hey, what does the car do? Speeds off. Okay, there we go. Okay, coming back into the house, we have from the chimney, I'm just going to do this, and a laptop opens up, touches an airplane that was flying above. You know those things, airplanes, yeah? Flying above. On its right wing is a tennis racket, and on the left one is a light bulb. Okay, so we're going to start from the beginning. Everybody together. We have a huge name tag about coming out. Okay, with a? Okay, standing there is a? You got to do that. That's what's going on. What? What's he wearing? School uniform. Okay, and he goes into? Which? Okay, coming from the chimney of the house is a laptop. And what does it touch? Airplane. On the right-hand side is a? Okay, and left? Light bulb. The last thing we had. What was the last thing we had? Light bulb. Okay, so put your hand up. Light bulb. And on the other side we had? Tennis racket. Okay, which was on a? Airplane, which was touching coming out from the chimney. Okay, next to the house we had a? Red car. Who was sitting in it? School kid. Okay, he came from the house. What's he wearing? Okay, what's the house look like? With a? And it came out from a? Whose name was on the name tag? Okay, now, pair off. You got 1 minute to practice with each other. It's very important to practice this stack with each other. Ready? 1 minute, everybody. Practice, find a partner. Practice it. מה? מה הבעיה? Oh, okay. Great energy there. Thanks for taking that. Let's just now understand why did we actually do all this. As we said, this is a stack of different objects, unrelated, but we call them when they're stacked together, each one's touching each other, connecting each other. Say we came to that event and we don't know anybody, and we're like, what am I going to say? What was the first object we had? Name tag. Okay. So, what sort of questions could a name tag represent when we're meeting somebody new? Yeah, what's your name? Where's that name from? What does Aleph come from? Those kind of questions. What's the meaning of the name? Then the next thing we had? Okay, what sort of questions could that relate to? Where do you live? Yeah, where do you come from? I think most people here is where do you live and where did you come from? And why did you come here? So those are sort of some of the questions we can ask. What's the next thing we had? Well, that was part of the house, yeah. We had the kid. Yeah, and what sort of questions? Kids, do you have any kids? What do you do? Could be your job maybe, but where do you learn? Or do you have any family? Those kind of questions. We got to be aware, by the way, is some things have to do also with culture. In America, most people don't like to be asked about family in the first time they meet in many cases. In Israel, it's so, what's your name, how much are you making, and what's your mortgage? That's how we do it in Israel. And then what was the next object we had after the kid? Red car. What sort of questions? What car do you have? Or how did you get here? In Tel Aviv it's, on a kokinet and what? Who drives you? What drives you? Like that one. Okay. We'll steal that one for the next one. Okay. And then out of the chimney we had a laptop. What sort of questions? What do you do for work? How do you get that job? What are you looking for? Those kind of questions. And then we had? Airplane. Okay. Okay, where do you like to travel? Vacation. If you could travel, where would you go? Those kind of questions. And then we had tennis racket. What sort of questions? Hobbies, leisure. What do you do? Sports. What do you do when you're not working? What do you like to do? And finally, we had the light bar. Cartoon language. What does light bulb mean? Ideas. So any questions, ideas that come up throughout the conversation. So this is now that we meet somebody, we have sort of that base of questioning that we can open up a conversation. Now, there are two kinds of questions. There's open-ended questions and there are closed-ended questions. Which one will give us more information, open-ended or closed? Open? Yeah? Okay, so we'll try that. Let's try that. Dov, thanks for volunteering. Okay, Dov, what do you like the most about where you live?
In Israel?
Yeah.
I love being in Jerusalem around Jewish people and stuff.
Okay, so you love the atmosphere. Okay, so that's one side of things. And next to you is sitting? Yishai? Okay, what's the thing that you like the most about where you live?
Being in Jerusalem, being near the Kotel, being near the atmosphere, but also the people around me are different from where I come from.
Okay, so we have a lot of Jerusalem people who love the atmosphere here. That's cool. Okay, and behind is what's your name? Yaakov. Okay, thank you. So what do you like the most about where you live? You like what? The heritage, and what connects you? What do you like doing with the heritage? Why is that important to you? Judaism. Okay, so he likes heritage, Judaism. So I got some information from Yaakov. We had open-ended questions, right? So I know he likes heritage and Judaism. What don't I know about Yaakov? For that.
My name.
I don't know where he lives. Heritage is Israel, there's a lot of heritage in Israel. It can be anywhere, right? So we're going to try that again. We're going to change it a bit, okay? So, Yaakov, where do you live? You live in Jerusalem. What do you like about living in Jerusalem? You like heritage. And when you see those old buildings, what does that do to you? You mentioned in what? You enjoy the beauty, okay. And where you were originally from? Muncie, New York. So what brought you from Muncie to Jerusalem? Heritage? You're Jewish? So when did that heritage issue come up for you that you said, I got to move? So already as a young boy, age of 7, you were thinking of this? Yeah, coming to Israel. Okay. And you feel at home in moving to Jerusalem, you feel at home? And what is one thing you'd say, had people coming from the States to Jerusalem, what would you tell them to come and do in Jerusalem? Oh, thank you, Moshe.
Western Wall.
To the Western Wall, okay.
Heritage.
So to be part of that heritage there.
Yes.
Okay.
Spiritual heritage.
Spirited heritage. I know you're a very spiritual kind of guy. Okay, good. So thank you very much for Yaakov. Let's give some appreciation. What was the difference in the first time asking some questions and the second time? What? Okay, I got from me. How did I start? What was the first question? Where do you live? Open or closed? Yeah, closed questions are our friends. They're easy to answer. You don't have to think. So a lot of times what we want to do is we start with a closed-ended question, and from there maybe one or two, and then we can open it up, and that way also you see people's body language changes. When closed, if we start with an open-ended question right at the beginning, people sometimes you see them going, I don't know. But a closed question, they just answer, and then slowly they'll open up and see, Yaakov's very relaxed now, and we're connecting with heritage. What else do you notice in this conversation? Sorry? More thought-provoking. Okay. So how did that impact you, by the way? Yeah, I started racing. Okay, you had to think about, it's not just throwing just answers out, where do you live, what do you do? Sometimes it's very technical and boring. So we get a bit more into who that person is. I know a bit more about who Yaakov is if I want to connect to him. I know what's important to him. One other thing, I don't know if you noticed, is I used part of Yaakov's answers for the next question. Yeah? So where are you from? Jerusalem. What do you like about Jerusalem? And he said about the buildings, the old buildings, right? So what do you like about the old buildings, etc. What does that tell Yaakov? Yeah. And in Israel, they're not used to that, people. We're not used to people listening. But when somebody listens to us, that's part of making that connection. Suddenly, wow, I've got somebody to listen to, who will listen to me. Okay? So we use part of that connection, and that's what we're going to practice in a minute, is those kind of questions. And there's another set of questions. We can ask questions about facts, where are you from, what do you do? And, that's what we do on a regular basis. In an office, we know they're sort of very superficial facts about the person. We don't know who the person is. And we've done this in companies, and recently we did it with an IT company. And 2 of the founders have been working together for 18 years, since the army days. So they really know each other. And we did a quick exercise for about 3-4 minutes each side, and they suddenly found out different things about each other, about the person, who the person is, they hadn't known forever. And suddenly something even made a stronger connection, even those kind of times. So we're going to kind of see what we can find out. So there's facts questions, and there's what we call motive questions about, what brought you from here, or why did you decide to do that, or what impact did that have on you? Those kind of questions that get people to kind of, Yaakov said, I had to kind of think a bit more and when I'm responding, and so that they reflect. And then suddenly it's a much more meaningful conversation. And then certain things like also about, what would you recommend I do? So these are about values, what we should do, and we ask value questions. What do you think I should do? Or what would you say in this kind of situation? If I was looking for a job, where would you look for a job? Suddenly, what happens if we're asking for someone's advice? What does that do to them? Yeah, feels important. Makes a stronger connection. And this is all it's genuine. It's not just okay, what can I get out from him? It's about, how do I build a connection with this person? How do I build trust? Okay? So in a moment, we're going to practice this. So we have our stack. We can start with those kind of questions. And then we can ask other value questions or motive questions and use part of the person's answer in the next question. Okay? Another thing before we do that, just a warning, this is not an interrogation. Where are you from? What do you do? How do you get here? No, that's not it. It's about breaking an ice, making a connection. We're just going to try something else for an example. What's your name there? Moshe Aaron. Moshe Aaron, where are you from? Eretz Israel. And can you be somewhere more specific in Eretz Israel? It's a big country. You're from Beit Shemesh. Ramat Beit Shemesh. Wow. Ramat Beit Shemesh. I have to tell you, this is where I took my Dale Carnegie Trainers course in Ramat Beit Shemesh. And then I delivered about 3 courses in Ramat Beit Shemesh. So I know the area pretty well. And luckily they have a better road now, so it's much easier, because I used to hate driving there at nighttime in that wriggly old road. And what just happened? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just hijacked the conversation, yeah. And you're just sitting there going, what do you ask me for where I'm from if all you want to do is talk about yourself? Ever found yourself in those kind of situations? Where you say, so what do you do in the summer? Oh, I went to Florida. Oh, Florida, amazing. I was there and I did this. And we just hijack the conversation. So when we're doing that, we're not going to be hijacking the conversation. So here are the rules for the next exercise. Does this work now? Let's see. Just to give you a bit of, before we do that, here we go. Okay, just so you get to know a bit about myself, because I had an opportunity to introduce myself. Gilad Newman, I'm the CEO of Dale Carnegie Israel. Last year we did the TEDx preparations for the IDC, Herzliya, just a few pictures myself. So worked a lot with people from TEDx. It was an amazing experience. Even in the COVID, we had no people in the room. It was all broadcast live, but they had to speak as if they were speaking in front of 300 people, and it was a really powerful event. At the bottom, you see me with my 3 daughters in Shuk Machne Yehuda, Noah, Ella, and Mia, who's 13, 10, and 6. I'm a Yerushalmi. I was born not far from here in French Hill, and then Givat HaMivtar, and most of my life was here till 5 years ago. I live now in Ra'anana. And at the top here, you see Dale Carnegie is an international organization, so every year we have an international convention. This is the last one we had face-to-face. This was in Milan, so people from about 4 countries had a good time there. That was 2.5 years ago. And the bottom, a year ago, we had an event of helping companies go into the Silicon Valley. So that was Brittany Schmidt. She's the franchisee for Dale Carnegie in Silicon Valley. So we had for Israeli startups how to get in. That was really an exciting event. I love training for leadership skills, communication skills, sales, public speaking, obviously. So those are the areas that we deal in Dale Carnegie, main areas. And finally, just a few things about, I enjoy swimming. Been swimming for the past 20 years in a team. And I support Manchester United. So if there are other Man United supporters here, you get an extra 10 points for that. Okay, here we go. Say we have a connection already. when we're supporting the same team. So that's just a few things about myself. I'm really passionate about helping people. That's what we do at Dale Carnegie. For those who are not familiar, whoops, why did that go too far? It's not my computer, so let's see if, there we go. Skipped. Well, Dale Carnegie, we'll just use the real props. For those who are not familiar of how to win friends and influence people, that's Dale Carnegie's bestseller. Was published in 1936. Still top 20 business book on Amazon. And last year, Forbes said it's the #1 book that entrepreneurs should be reading. So this is, and we do the training for Dale Carnegie. We're now in 87 countries, over 9 million graduates. Been in Israel since 1973. Some of our graduates are people who may be familiar with Warren Buffett. He said that's the best investment he ever did, was taking a Dale Carnegie course. And he said you should be developing your communication skills, public speaking skills. You'll double your salary over a lifetime if you do that. So that's his experience from Dale Carnegie. So now that we've heard a bit about myself, this is an opportunity to connect to other people. So here are the rules. In a moment, we're going to pair off with a partner. Find somebody maybe you don't know, not somebody you came with this evening. Find somebody new. And you're going to have each 3 minutes. That means 6 minutes in total. 3 minutes, you're going to be asking questions. And the other person is going to be, what's he going to be doing? Answering, yeah, thank you. And then we'll switch roles. And then the person who is answering, what will he be doing? Asking questions. And the other person will be then responding, answering. And if you're asked a closed-ended question, just answer with a closed-ended question. If you're asked an open-ended question, answer with an open-ended question answer. So, for example, somebody says, "So, what do you like about Jerusalem?" Nothing. No, throw them a bone. Give them something to hang on to. Okay. So, don't play hard with them. Just work with it. See how it happens. You're going to be tempted, as the people who are asking questions, you're going to be tempted to start grabbing the conversation and hijacking it. What's your name, sir? What? Jonathan. As Jonathan said, you're going to be tempted to hijack the conversation. Do not. You're only asking questions. Use part of the question for the next question. Yes? Part of the answer for the next question. Okay? We're all clear? And we can use that stack to help us find topics to talk about, and then according to the conversation, see what interesting things you can find out about who that person is and what made them choose a career or come to Israel, etc. Yes? Okay? So with that enthusiasm we had before, please stand, find a partner. And before you do that, just find a partner and don't start till I tell you. Okay, everybody please. From every pair, please somebody raise the hand. One person in each group. In each group, one person raise your hand. Please do not start the conversation yet. Just have silence, please. Everybody silence. Silence. Okay, from each pair, one person raise your hand. From each pair, one person raise your hand. Okay, we have from each pair, one person. Okay, so the person raising your hand, turn to your partner and say, "You're the first person asking questions." And you've got 3 minutes, go. Stop, reverse roles, go. Okay, time. Everybody please thank your partner for listening. And we can all take a seat. Okay, so how was that? Yeah? Okay, so who heard something interesting? Okay, wow. Okay, there's a lot of hands coming up. You back there. Yeah. What's your name? What? No, in front of you. Yeah, with the hoodie. What's that?
My name is Mo.
Yeah.
I just raised my hand to compliment the person that I spoke to, but I was the one speaking the whole time, so...
You're the guy who was giving he was talking all the time.
Yes.
Okay, so as we hijacked the conversation. Okay, thank you, Shmuel. Okay, who heard something interesting from any other sides? We had lots of hands raised a second ago, so yeah, what did you hear? Where's the mic? Just...
I was speaking with Ellie, heard about
How a bit closer?
where he's learning, he's doing computer science, which is something which I was wondering what they learned there and where is he holding.
Okay, so we found some interesting topic to understand in person. Okay, thank you very much. And Yaakov, I see your hand. For your help before, then...
I now more understand about what hedge funds are.
Okay. Who are you talking to?
Shimon? Shimon Lyons.
Okay.
Good guy.
You work for a hedge fund?
I do not work for a hedge fund. I work for a company that works for a hedge fund.
Okay. So suddenly there's education time. Even in 2.5 minutes, we can get a lot. Okay. So what do we see happening with those questions? Just how did that help us or didn't help us? What do you see happening in the conversation? Yeah. What's your name? Ellie, yeah, you're the partner there. Okay. Where's the mic? Just because what did you see happening different from maybe previous conversations?
You find commonalities between yourself and the other person, and through that you form an emotional connection.
Yeah. Okay. So suddenly we have some connections. Yeah. And pass the microphone back there. Thank you very much. What's your name?
Akiva.
Yeah, Akiva.
Kranus from the beginning.
Yeah,
of the
that's
thing.
right. Yeah.
What I noticed was that the picture exercise that you gave us at the beginning formalized the process in which helps you think of an organized way of choosing which questions to ask. Because I found one of us was when you get to that moment, when you're trying to think of, okay, 1 second, now I'm lost. So what I'm meant to be talking to you, but what I'm meant to asking. So then you think about, okay, 1 second. What's your name? Where you from? What's your family about? How do you get here? What's your work? And do you own an airplane? That kind of thing that really gave you, just helps the conversation flow. And since it was only 3 minutes, we managed, by the time we got to the end, I didn't manage to get to the end of my questions.
Okay. So there's opportunity for more than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I tried not to hijack the conversation.
Can we pass the microphone down to the hedge fund over there, who's not the hedge fund?
I find that you want to find out more as the conversation proceeds. Like even if at the beginning you might be okay, fine, I'll try it out. But then as you go, you actually get interested. And you want to find out more.
Okay. And this is you had 3 minutes each. What would happen if you'd had 10 minutes to have a conversation or over a coffee break or something like that? What would happen? How much, would we really get to connect with that person? See how much we already know from each other? 2.5 minutes for each side. By the way, what were some of the challenges in this? Yeah, back there with the...
David. So I found myself trying to go back to the image, but the transitions into the different topics weren't always natural.
Sorry?
The transitions into the topics weren't always natural, like going from your family to your hobbies. And some of them more like eased into the next, and some of them were more...
well, we don't have to use that format.
No, it helped to find topics, but
okay.
like some of them were more easier.
Yeah, so it gives us a baseline from, so what am I going to, we have something to work with, but do we have to ask them in that order? No? Do we have to ask all those questions? No, just whatever comes across. And it's really about diving in, finding a bit more about who that person is. When you go home today, try this with other people, you know, friends, family, and what? Yeah, people you work with. We might find out, a lot of times we find people we're sitting with for a few years next to each other. We don't really know who that person really is, and just asking a bit more questions about who they are, suddenly a deeper connection can really be created. And try this even with your partner at home. You know, you come home and ask them questions, and probably around 40 seconds after you start asking certain questions, you don't have to ask where you're from and what that, because you know that, but asking questions and using the part of the answer for the next question, they might turn to you and say, "What's wrong? Have you been fired?" And you just say, "Listen, I was at a networking event today and we got a bit of homework to do, so, just want to practice. Is that okay?" And just have a bit of fun with it, see what happens. Even with people who are close to us, sometimes we don't even have those kind of conversations. What does that do about building trust? How does that connect to building trust, what we just did? Sorry? Yeah. You know, we're raising your hand? Okay. Yeah, Yaakov. Or somebody else wanted to say something? Wait, so take the mic. What?
The more you know about someone, the more comfortable you'll be with them, because I guess in a certain sense it eliminates possibilities that they're someone who you shouldn't trust. But
So it's easier for us to connect with that person and trust them.
You're trusting, yeah, because I know that this is someone who's a normal person who can relate to me. I can relate to them, and yeah.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you very much. And just the microphone's going to come there.
I think it's also that you fear things that you don't know. And so automatically, if I know you, then the fear is just going to just drift away on its own, just as a natural response. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily like a building of trust. It's almost like an animalistic response built into our brains, that once I feel that I do know you somehow, I don't have to fear you anymore, and then it's just going to evolve from there.
Okay, so we can move from there and move forward. And just a quick question, how's that relating to when we have to sell ourselves? What's that? How does that help us? Yeah, David.
If you develop a rapport with the person who you're selling to, then it's a lot easier time to convince them that what you're selling is good, I guess.
So we're able to connect a lot better when and sell ourselves better. Actually, when we get to know the other person, we know where to connect to, what's important to them. Okay, thank you. What else? Jakob, you just keep your hand up all the time. We're just calling you.
You'll be less nervous.
Why is that?
Because the fear is gone now. So if you talk to the person, you won't be nervous, and you'll be able to express yourself better, and you'll be able to present yourself better.
Okay, so it helps us with our confidence as well. And by the way, when we're asking questions, and the pressure's off us, because they have to answer, so we can relax a lot more, because we're not there like under. I've got this spotlight here. Okay, yeah.
When you're trying
What's the name, please?
Gabriel.
Gabriel, yeah.
When you're trying to sell yourself or something to someone else, you have to be selling something that they need. So once you know them, you know what they need, and you can sell it.
Okay. There you go. So it's about understanding the other person. We'll take just one more. Moshe's in charge, so.
David, I have more of a question.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're trying to sell something? A lot of times the person is either giving you a little bit of their time or hardly giving you any of their time. So a lot of these conversations, these questions, you need to first develop a rapport. They don't want to necessarily wait for you to get through your whole spiel, so to say.
Yeah.
So how do you condense it into like a sales pitch, or not even a pitch, but a small conversational leading into your sales point?
So how do I change my
question
pitch?
is
Or how
not
do
change
I...
your pitch, but when somebody's not necessarily giving you so much time to actually have a conversation.
Okay. So, well, there's two answers I'd give for this one. Sorry? 3 answers. Thank you, Yaakov. So the third one would be take a Dale Carnegie course, but that wasn't the answer I was coming from, but thank you. We should bring you to every event. I got to get your details afterwards. I don't know, it's worthwhile probably. Anyway, so first one is, it's about making that, as we said, that initial report and finding a lot of times before we even pick up the phone or before we meet the person, we know a bit about that person. I don't believe in cold calling. Because even before we pick up the phone, we know a few things about that person that we can initially make a connection. If it's a lead coming into us, I'll even Google them sometimes, and I'll see just to know who that person is for even a minute, just to kind of get an understanding where they come from. A lot of times, if it's Moshe Cohen, I might not be able to, there's about 1 million of them, but most of the people, you could find something about them, or if they connected, they're looking something for us. If they're a lead, then they're interested in something, so I can ask them about, I always put a question or two to them first before I start, and then I start building that rapport. That's one thing. The other thing is, if it's about focused on them and not about the sale, I had a while ago a conversation with somebody. She's a CEO of a big company, and I met her a couple of times in the past, and when I called her, she said, listen, I don't have any time, I'm really busy. I said, listen, I just want a couple of minutes just to ask you a couple of questions to get your advice, hear about what you're doing today. And we ended up having a 30-minute conversation, which I don't have a second to speak. And she was talking most of the time. She was talking about what she did. And probably around the last 3-4 minutes, she said, so what can I do for you? That was her question to me. And I said, listen, I'm just interested in, maybe ways that we can help some of the people that work with you. She said, that's actually something that I was thinking while I was talking. So she actually did some of that selling herself. And that all happened because she had somebody who was listening to her and giving her time and asking those questions that lead a conversation. Because when we ask those questions that we did before, we're actually, once we get good at it, we're able to lead a conversation. So we can divert it into different directions, the way we question. Does that answer some of the answers? Yeah? Okay. There's another question it's a good time to ask them now before we kind of, in a minute, circle around for landing. So, any questions about connecting, selling ourselves? Yes. Before, just wait for the mic.
This is really great for someone that is at your same level and you both have the same interest to know each other. But if you're trying to really get hold of someone,
if you're trying to
really get hold of someone, and he did you a favor and accepted you for a meeting with them, you can't. All of this is not that relevant for that. Like, you're going to ask him, okay, like, where you live, what inspired you to live there?
So you're asking the stacking that we had, those kind of questions.
Yeah. Just
okay.
Imagine you meeting Putin. You can't
Okay.
What's inspiring you to?
Okay. Well, first of all, this is just something that what we did now is what we call an icebreaker, an opportunity to use different questions so that we don't sit there going, what am I going to say? I have some anchor. Then I could say to somebody who's a CEO of a company, you're talking about a manager of a company who's giving us a favor to meet him, is that the idea? So I might say to that person, hey, well, let's call him John for the sake of it, Yaakov. What brought you to this company, or what made you decide to found this company, or how did you come up with the idea for this company? Those kind of questions, and or how did you get to be in this, to build this company to this kind of success? What have you been doing? And I guarantee that if you ask those kind of questions, you're going to sit there listening for a long time, and they're going to appreciate your audience. because these are some things, these are things that are important to them. You know, you're talking about something that they're passionate about, they built, and they'll be interested to share that information. So those might be some of the questions that I would ask in those kind of situations. Or what are you looking for? You know, you've grown this company so big. What's the next step for this company? So we just did a few examples, but there's more opportunities for questions out there. It's about getting that expertise. Yeah. We're going to take one last question. I think I'm going to have to wrap up. Yeah.
I guess this is another thing that I'm always concerned about, and I guess this would follow from the previous question. If, let's say, you're meeting with someone who's doing you a favor, and they're, I don't know, some important person, and you get a couple minutes of their time, I personally would be concerned to open with a question like that, because I would feel like I'm wasting their time. Tell me why you started this company. It feels like why do I have to sit here and tell this guy why I don't know. It seems like I would be wasting their time. And I guess that could go for anything. Like you meet someone and you put the spotlight on them, and I don't know, now they have to tell their whole life story.
Okay. So what's the question?
I don't know. It's just a counter to what you said. It's something that concerns me.
Okay, so what would be a question there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really feels weird when you ask that question to a CEO of a big company, but from his point of view, it's absolutely different.
Yeah. It's about seeing from their point of view. Again, understanding what the purpose of the meeting is, but if you're talking about them, their interests, you find out what they're passionate about, and if you know that in advance, they'll be happy to give you way more time. And the amount of meetings that I've had who've gone from 30 minutes that were allocated to an hour and a half, and then an extra meeting afterwards and other things, just from being in their point. And again, sometimes I used to hate, before Dale Carnegie, I used to hate these kind of meetings where we just, I wanted to get to the point of the meeting. And I couldn't understand those meetings that started with that small talk. You're wasting my time. It should be straight there. And then I found out that most of those things happen in that small talk. That's where the connection builds, the rapport, the trust, and you can do business in such a little amount of time once we have a good connection. So I'm not saying, it really depends also on the person. Some people, by the way, you'll meet, they only want to be focused on, what to do now. You've got to work with them because that's their point of view. Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
One last question. Just following up on the overall presentation, so you spoke very eloquently about the concept of trying to build rapport, about using the connection as a means of learning about the other person and triggering good feelings. How do you suggest that somebody who hasn't, participated in a Dale Carnegie type course, get over the feelings that it's not entirely genuine, and in fact, we really want to build rapport because it's in our best interest, but we don't really care, all these details. So how do we overcome that feeling of being kind of fake?
Okay. So how do we really get over, sometimes we feel a bit maybe fake or it's not real? Is that the question? Okay. So one of the things that, it's actually even in Judaism, it's when we do things shelo lishma, what? Al sheba lishma, you know that expression? So when we do things, a lot of times it's about, we've got to get used to doing them, even if doesn't come from here. But once we get used to doing them, suddenly it starts becoming more natural, and we see the results as well, see the connection, and then it starts coming from the heart as well. So sometimes we just have to, in the American or English side of that would be, fake it till you make it. But I like the Jewish side more on that. But it's really, what? Achrei ha'ma'asim nimshachim halevavot, exactly. So sometimes we just have to do it, and I think Eli was speaking about that before, about sometimes sof ma'aseh lemachshavat tchila, so it's לפעמים sof tchilat ma'aseh v'machshava comes afterwards. Sometimes that's how it works. And once we get good at doing it, it just becomes very natural, and then the connections start happening. So just practicing it and working on that. How does that sound so far? Good? Yeah? Okay, so next opportunity, it could be in the meetup, any other place. See what you can, be more intentional about making a connection with that person, seeing who they really are, and suddenly you might find a lot of opportunities, just even being a better person. Sometimes it just happens from there. As Dale Carnegie said, if you want to be interesting, be interested. And just something that we can leave you with. Here's if you want to download, it's called a booklet called Secrets of Success from Dale Carnegie, free download. Just go to, and if you don't have that kind of phone, we can send you a link, but if you just scan it and you won't be spammed or anything else afterwards, but it's just easy, then you can download it. And it's a good read. Called Secrets of Success by Dale Carnegie. Sorry? This is actually a link to the Dale Carnegie Global website, so you can look for it there. It's not on Amazon because it's free. We're not charging you for this. This is free. Sorry? I can't hear you. You'll have to leave your email address, but it's free. That's the way it works there on the Dale Carnegie system. I can't change that. They're a good American company. Okay, we'll give you another few seconds. And if you want to consult with me, have any questions, find me on LinkedIn, Gilad Newman. Pretty simple. And I want to thank, first of all, CityBook for hosting us over here, and Ellie. So it's all fun. And Moshe Bravde, who's one of our graduates, by the way, and for arranging this event. So appreciate that, all the work. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of people here behind the scenes taking care of it, so really appreciate that. And wish you an amazing evening. Stay on to have I see some really nice things going on over there. So it's worthwhile having another conversation with some other person, see what other connections we can make. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Cheers.